some testimonials from these people. Anyone can put testimonials on their site, Okay, so we have this man here, Dr. Stephen Missick.
Hello, I'm Dr. Missick, and I want to do a quick video answering the question, how do we know that Jesus spoke Aramaic? I recently looked at a video by Dr. David Wood, and a woman, an Assyrian woman, posted a comment that, she's a Christian, Middle Eastern Christian, and she still speaks Aramaic, the language of Jesus Christ. And then someone else posted, well, I'm Greek, and the New Testament's written in Greek, and Jesus didn't speak Aramaic. And there are other people, especially like some Messianic Jewish teachers, who will say Jesus spoke Hebrew because Hebrew is a Jewish language and he didn't speak Aramaic. So you have people who speak Aramaic saying that they speak the language of Jesus Christ, and you have Greeks saying the New Testament was written in Greek, therefore Jesus spoke Greek, and that's it. And there's some New Testament scholars who study Greek who agree with that contention. And you have Jewish Christians saying, no, Hebrew is a Jewish language, and we believe that Hebrew is still spoken at the time of Jesus, therefore Jesus spoke Hebrew. So what's the answer? I'm going to get to the answer in the end, but the Greek New Testament states clearly that Jesus spoke Aramaic. So, the fact of the matter is the New Testament's written in Greek. Some people think there might have been, the Gospel of Matthew might have been written in Hebrew initially, but the Gospel of Matthew as we have it today was written in Greek. All four Gospels were written in Greek. If there's an Aramaic substratum, they're gone. We don't have any Aramaic manuscripts, and Paul wrote his epistles in Greek as well.
Okay, so he just made a statement that you don't have any of the original Aramaic manuscripts. Okay, well, the Church of the East sees something different. They may have a 1st century, 4th, 5th century copy of those originals, or they may have that original. Okay, that's for you to and us to verify, right, if they do or not. Okay, so we think he's in error there because he doesn't know about Victor N. Alexander's translations.
So I'm not denying the importance of Greek, and if you look at Hebrew with the Old Testament, over 95% of the Old Testament is written in Hebrew, and a very small percentage is written in Aramaic, the book of Daniel and parts of Ezra, but most of it's written in Hebrew. And at the time of Jesus, Hebrew was considered a prestige language. It was the language of the Old Testament, language of the Torah, so it's held in high regard. But people were speaking Aramaic. How do we know? First off, when Jesus is on the cross in Mark chapter 15, verse 34, he says, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. That's Aramaic. So it's Elahi, Elahi.
He's using the Syriac.
Elahi, lama sabachthani. That's pretty much standard, obvious Aramaic. If he's saying Hebrew, if he's speaking Hebrew, he would have said Eli, Eli, lama asbatani. I believe that's how you say it. I'm not an expert on Hebrew. But that is unquestionably in Aramaic. So when Jesus is on the cross, he's crying out, he's quoted in his original language saying, my God.
In fact, in Alexander's translation of that, he cries out, El, El. Not Elohi, Elohi, or whatever this guy's saying. He cries out, El, El. That's the name of God, right? The Mana Shrikthani, or however it is in Victor N. Alexander's translation of Luke 15:34, etc. And it's not, my God, why have you forsaken me? In no way is it that, right? It does say, my God, El, El, or Eloi, Eloi, that's correct, but the rest is incorrect, right? It's a 2nd or 3rd Arabic Greek transliteration, and it does not mean, my God, what, or why have you forsaken me? Okay, it means wherefore. Right? It implies the purpose that he was on the cross, right? His destiny. For he says, why, my God, why have you left me to what I was destined for? Right? We've done videos on it. So he's going to claim it says, my God, why have you forsaken me, which is incorrect. It's a 2nd or 3rd Arabic Greek transliteration.
"Oh my God, why have you forsaken me?" When somebody's in pain and agony, they usually revert to their mother tongue. Like when you stub your toe, if you study Latin or Greek or some other language, when you stub your toe, you're not going to be speaking that language, right? You're going to be speaking your mother tongue. So Jesus on the cross, he's in agony, he's crying out, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" There's a lot of reasons why Jesus said that. It refers to Psalm 22, which is a prophecy written hundreds of years before Jesus was born in the flesh, that prophesies of the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross.
Well, you have Rabbi Toby sing it, and his Jewish followers, the kingdoms, it's his every word, right? He's the beloved rabbi who says, no, it's not a prophecy by Daniel of the Messiah, Jesus the Christ, or Yeshua, whatever. It's him crying out to God because he feels abandoned, left alone. God's not answering his prayers. So we did a video on that, which shows Psalms 22 in English in the footnotes, translated by Victor Alexander, underneath where he actually states it's a prophecy about the coming of the Christ, right? The Christ uttered that from Psalms 22, right? That there's no prophecy there, right? But it's in relation to why did Christ yell that out on the cross, etc., etc. It was all pointing towards him, supposedly. And Isaiah 45:1, that there's no prophecy of, no mention of Christ yet, no prophecy, all that sort of stuff, when it's actually Allah, God, talking to his Messiah, the manifestation or the Mota, right? I.e., Jesus the Messiah, who was to come, right? God incarnated in the flesh, not Cyrus the king. He was just a tool used to free his people from the Babylonian exile, so they could go back to Jerusalem, build that temple, and go back to worshipping God the way he desired it, right? That they should get the correct way.
Plus, you have the idea that Jesus takes upon himself all the sins of the world, and so the Father looks away from the Son. That's what theologians believe. But here you have the anguish that Jesus was feeling, and he cried out, quoting Psalm 22, a prophetic psalm of the sufferings of the Messiah. But that's what Jesus did. He said it while he's on the cross, in Aramaic. So if this was some other language that Jesus didn't often speak, or is a foreign language to Jesus, why is he speaking? The Gospel of Mark, written in Greek, is quoting Jesus in this verse speaking in Aramaic. I mean, it's the holy word of God inspired by the apostles. And the apostle Mark is saying, or the evangelist Mark is saying, that Jesus spoke Aramaic. And that verse and many other verses throughout the Gospel of Mark. When Jesus heals people, in the Gospel of Mark 5:41. So the cry from the cross, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, is Mark 15:34. You can look up these verses yourself. Mark 5:41, it's Talitha kumai. That's Aramaic, or Talitha kum. Talitha means little girl, get up. That's what Jesus says to the daughter of Jairus, right? So that's Aramaic. So Jesus goes to a man's home to pray for his daughter to be healed. She passed away, so he speaks over, little girl, arise, little girl, get up. He says it in Aramaic. There's another place where Jesus says apophatha, when he heals a deaf man. And it's the same word in Hebrew and Aramaic, but it's a Semitic language, right? Why is Jesus using Aramaic? I mean, the logical explanation is it's written this way because the New Testament's written in Greek, but the native language of Jesus is in Aramaic. Is Aramaic, right?
So in some, we're just thinking, well, at that time, if it's Aramaic and Hebrew, it's the same words, right? Then at that point in time, the sister languages, and there's no modification. So when did the Messianics come along and alter the structure of that language, or those languages, adding vowels, dot system, whatever, so that the words became that were similar, had the same meaning. They were the same words that had the same meaning, suddenly become having the same words but different meanings in the Hebrew. Okay, how did that come about? So obviously, it sounds like in Jesus' days, Aramaic, Hebrew, Aramaic, they're basically the same language. Unless, like 15 Alexander says, he actually was speaking Galilean Aramaic, which is a derivative of, or from the original Aramaic, Ninevite Aramaic that Jonah spoke when he visited the Asherai in Nineveh to warn them of the forthcoming wrath from God.
Nicknames. Cephas or Kepha is Peter is called Kepha in John 1:42. When he sees this is when Peter meets Jesus the first time, Jesus says, "You are Simon, I will call you the Rock," which is Kepha. In Greek, it's written in the Greek letters, Kepha. Or Kephas, because you have the case endings where it ends with an S, but in Aramaic it's Kepha, and it's used in the Gospel. Gospel of John's written in Greek, and yet the name, and Paul calls Peter Kepha or Cephas throughout the epistles whenever he refers to him, because he knew him personally, and Aramaic was the first language of Peter, and that was his name that he went by. It was given to him by Jesus. Why would Jesus give somebody a name in Aramaic that nobody's speaking? If everybody's speaking Greek or Hebrew, then why is Jesus giving this, his apostles names? And that's not just Peter or Kepha in Aramaic, but in Thomas is an Aramaic word which means twin, and in John 20:42 it says, and his disciple Thomas, which means the twin. So Peter has an Aramaic name. Thomas has an Aramaic name. You also have Bartholomew. Bar in Aramaic means son of. Barabbas in Matthew 27:26.
Yeah, and he goes on, carries on. Yeah, because they were Galilean fishermen. That was their trade, and that's all they really knew. It's all about surviving, feeding the people, right? So, they might have been illiterate, etc. Not privileged to be scribes, writers, learn writing system, whatever, right? And write things down. So maybe somebody amongst them who was educated, who knew how to write, probably a tax collector or something like that, like Matthew, whatever, that knew numbers and writing, could have put all down, what Jesus said and what he did. Right? Could have done that. Could have wrote it all down. Okay. So they're basically illiterate according to the Erman, because he went to that area where they supposedly had lived, survived or whatever, and he said there's no graffiti or anything or writings around on walls or anything like that that indicate that they were literate and so forth. So you've got to be really careful. You really got to do your homework, do your personal research. Don't take these guys as the one, the only, because they can unknowingly or unwillingly take you down a wrong path. Okay, so he's pretty onto it. We forgot to mention before that the Aramaic scriptures we left out, we took out that statement by the former patriarch in 1957, Isai Shamun. Right, you can find it in one of his books about the Peshitta. That's Andrew Gabriel Roth. It's included in there. We have a copy of that. We've already done a video on it which showed it, so we're not going to cover it here, but take a word for it. That's in one of his translations of the Syriac Peshitta. Okay, so back to this man. Where are we? Okay, and what's this in Syriac New Testament?
Jesus was an Aramaic-speaking Jew of the Middle East, and the Assyrians are Aramaic-speaking Christians in the Middle East who have endured persecution for over 1,000 years. Join Voice of the Word.
We read it was 2,000 years. Right? 18 centuries, is it anywhere near 2,000 years? They got persecution from, because it was started with Nestorius having a debate with Cyril, a Roman Catholic, the hypostasis, Nestorius saying that Christ was of two substances, two natures, God or divine and human. Cyril, he wanted to be the bishop of all bishops, and he thought, he realised that Nestorius would be, right, and he wouldn't be, so he got all jealous, right, and he started lying, all that sort of stuff, and then Nestorius gets called a heretic, and persecution started, all that sort of stuff. And then this Church of the East, who later on said, we were saying that the hypostasis, that Christ has two substances, two natures, both God, divine, and man, right? So they got persecution from Roman Catholic Church, etc., because they agreed with what Nestorius said, but they said, well, we've been saying that thousands of years before he uttered it, right? So they got 18th centuries or 2,000 years of persecution, right? Yeah? From the Roman Catholics, the Protestants, Roman Catholics, Constantine, under Constantine, probably the Protestants, Genghis Khan and the Mongols, the Kurds, ISIS, probably Al Qaeda, getting all that crap thrown at them today. They blew up all their ancient Assyrian artifacts, etc., right? Drills and hammers and all this sort of stuff, and they boasted about it on some video or something like that. Just news coverage. They did all that stuff, and they said it was all religious purposes, but it's a load of rubbish. They want to wipe it out. So there's no trace of it, right? And it was considered a war crime by this faction. Okay, so apparently the Assyrian guards or force or something like that is like guarding it, protecting it, whatever's left. But they don't think they'll ever repair that stuff. But somebody made a 3D image of it or something like that. Yeah, we did a video on that, we believe. Added that. Yeah, so we'll carry on with this guy.
Aramaic Bible teacher, artist, and author Stephen Missick, as he examines the Bible through the
English New Testament, edited by
voice of the Word.
Hello, this is Dr. Missick. I want to welcome you to this edition of Voice of the Word. And today, I want to talk about an important new publication, which I have right here. And it is the Syriac English New Testament, edited by George A. Carraz, which represents the traditional Syriac Peshitta text and the Antioch Bible English translation. So let's open up and take a look at it. So let's take a look right here. We can see the Syriac text right here, and here we have the English translation. First off, what is Syriac? Now, the text of the New Testament is written in Greek, but there are many Aramaic words scattered throughout the Greek text. What is Aramaic? It's a Semitic language. It's closely related to Hebrew, and it's one of the three original languages of the Bible. Several parts of the book of Ezra and a large section of the book of Daniel are written in Aramaic, and this includes some Bible stories that most people are familiar with. The story of Daniel in the lion's den, the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the Son of Man prophecy of the coming cosmic Messiah, which is probably alluded to by Jesus Christ many times when he called himself the Son of Man, which is Barnasha in Aramaic.
And he continues. We're just going to go our notes, cut that down. Stephen Missick, the Syriac NT English translation, the Syriac English, edited by George A. Carraz. What is Syriac? Many Aramaic words scattered throughout the Greek text, as he said. Right. Aramaic, a Semitic language closely related to Hebrew, very similar to but not identical with the Aramaic spoken by Jesus the Christ, because he spoke Galilean Aramaic. Why? Yeah, as he spoke Galilean Aramaic, not Syriac. Okay, what's this say? 0155 to 258. Okay, that's basically in that video. You can go back to the original Aramaic, but we put not if you don't have it, the original ancient, very old language that Yeshua Mashiach or Jesus, Yeshua Mashiach or Jesus the Messiah spoke, that which was hidden by the ancient church, the very old ancient church of the East. It was told Victor N. Alexander, the native-born Aramaic-speaking translator from Bet Nahrein or Mesopotamia in Syria, that the Syriac wasn't the original. As the Syriac was wrong, it's translated from the Greek into the Syriac, as we mentioned earlier, we think. And he mentions J.W. Etheridge, Steve Verlich, Parallel NT, Lama, Murdoch, and others. That'll be J.W., Murdoch and Lamsa. Introduction to the PH.d committee, claiming then apparently the KJV. Let's do some glasses here. Yeah, he's talking about the introduction of the KJV, which is already covered in different videos. Bible committee claiming they consulted the original ancient Aramaic, Hebrew, Syriac Peshitta. Okay, when they didn't, right? They can't have, because they're old dead languages. If they were the original ancient, very old tongue or languages. And he says George Lamsa associated with fringe groups, universalists, Unitarians, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so you'd have to look at the Syrian Orthodox Church. Okay, and they use there's three different types of Aramaic. There's the Extranglo, which is the most common one. Eastern script, that's Jacobite, that's the Church of the East, and Circa, I think he said, script. Okay. We already looked at Dr. James Franco. Dr. James D. Fransisco. Okay. So, hopefully we have covered all of our notes, and if you find this, what we think now is probably a 4-hour video, that's opened your eyes to these 3 or 4 different translators who make various claims, who may be incorrect in many ways, as we have shown by asking them questions, right, getting the replies back, and then relaying them to you, where you can pick up, okay, what you've asked him is true, so it's very truthful, or what you've asked him in a comment is false, like they're saying one thing in the video and then they're denying it in the comment, right? You know, they've got it wrong or something like that. They're all like modern Syriac Peshitta attached, right? Or Hebrew attached, or Greek attached, or Syriac attached, or whatever, right? Get it? That's what they're promoting, that's what they're pushing, okay? That's their motive, because that's what they've come to, you know, they've read it, studied it, they've got some qualifications in that, and are putting it across. But unlike Victor and Alexander over here, they don't have that original manuscripts, okay, from that original language spoken by Jesus the Christ, or the Old Testament prophets like Moses, etc. The Lishana Atika, the sacred scribal tongue, old tongue or language of the Kitab Asher or Tav Asher, right? Or the Tav every, even the Tav Hotep, which we think might be what Moses learned while in Egypt, right? In the court of the Pharaoh, as his adopted son. Okay, we haven't come across that one yet, but Hotep sounds very Egyptian, right? So what we're basically doing through this really long video is trying to waken up the people, awake all you people to these supposed experts. Okay, they have doctorates, all that sort of stuff, but you know, when you sort of go for your doctorate, you got to get your masters, then you get your degree first, don't you? And then your masters, you go for your PhD.